Welcome to the Angel Foundation podcast, Angels Among Us. Hello, I'm Liz Brewer, the host. In this podcast, we shine a light on the people, partners, and everyday heroes who step forward when families in our community face the unthinkable. When a life-threatening illness or catastrophic event turns a family's world upside down. In this show, you'll hear the stories behind that mission, stories of compassion and action, stories of angels coming together. Because when people come together, miracles happen. This is how angels are among us. Let's begin. Thank you for joining us on the Angel Foundation podcast today. I am so honored to have our guest here today, Tina Blount, who is not only a dear friend of mine, she's a mentor, she's a pastor, she's a communicator, she's an author, she's a podcaster. You wear so many hats. But today you're here with us to talk about the Angel Foundation of Florida. So thank you, Tina, for being here.
I'm so honored to be here. Talking about the Angel Foundation is one of my favorite topics.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. That makes my heart so happy. So I have some questions for you today.
Okay.
You are a gift to us. You not only do all those things that I mentioned, but you also are an angel. You were an angel leader. Mm-hmm. You started an angel team, one of our first angel teams within the churches through a Rise Church. You also served on our approval team, which is where our angel families request financial support. And we have the approval team who refuse those requests for support, and 99% of the time we approve them. I don't know that we've ever really denied unless it really just didn't make sense. And you also have been serving as the vice president of the Angel Foundation for the last 4 or 5 years.
I have.
Yes, it's been wonderful. You give us such wisdom and guidance. And so my first question for you is, what led you to the Angel Foundation of Florida to begin with?
Well, it's I think a wonderful story. So you were hosting a networking lunch, and at this lunch you would talk about the foundation and the work of the foundation, and you would do a little teaching leadership nugget. Okay. And someone who attended our church kept inviting me, and I thought, I don't think I need to go to that. I really don't think I need to go to that. But he wore me down.
I remember.
And I came, and I was so incredibly impressed by you.
Oh, well, thank you.
By the people at the table, by the mission of the foundation, that I remember talking to you afterward and said, I need to know more. What is the Angel Foundation and how do we plug in?
I remember that very well. The restaurant name has changed.
It has.
We have had dinner there many times.
Yes, we have.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us about your ministry inside the church and also outside of the church. Because
Sure.
I know that that's really the beautiful tie-in that we see today.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when this introduction actually happened, I was in the process of a transition. I was transitioning from the connection pastor, which is at a Rise Church. I was responsible for helping individuals get connected once they walk through our front doors. And I was transitioning into a role of community pastor, where my role was to engage the community, to look for opportunities to serve, but also to make the community aware of what we were and who we are. Mm-hmm. And so in the meeting of you and learning about the foundation, it was the most beautiful connection, because I was looking for organizations where we as a church could extend our reach. Mm-hmm. A lot of churches use the word outreach, but we were really talking about engagement, how we could extend our engagement. As a church, we don't want congregants, we want to make disciples for Christ.
Absolutely.
And so we were looking for the opportunity to do that. And so I was the community pastor at that time. My role has evolved like most roles do in any organization. Today, I still serve at Arise as the ministry development pastor. And so while I still do community engagement, I'm actually helping various other ministries develop as well. Mm-hmm. Now, because of that role, the Lord opened this incredible door for me to begin coaching leaders and coming alongside of them. I have a background in coaching and a background in corporate HR. And so 2 years ago, I started a business called Blount, my last name, where I serve as a coach and a consultant for organizations, helping individuals discover who they were created to be so they can do what they were created to do.
And it's funny, the name Be Blunt, you think of it as just no nonsense kind of girl, and that is you.
It is
for sure. But you bring it, whether it's talking to our board of directors or leading the angel families or bringing wisdom to the community, because you have served in many roles in the community. And I want to say that you're one of the first women that I know who was able to make that connection from the church and into the community. And as a believer, I know God has called us to be in the community. And I always said, you know, there's so much work to be done in the church, but there's so much work to be done in the community. And, you know, the harvest is plenty. The workers are few. And so seeing you be able to make that connection into the community was such a beautiful thing. Why do you think it's important that the churches come alongside the work of the Angel Foundation specifically? Because I know that you all support many nonprofits in the community.
We do.
And it's a beautiful thing to see when Tina shows up, when Pastor Tina shows up, like the room just lights up. And so that's just goes to who you are as a person.
Thank you.
And as a faithful follower of Jesus Christ, because of the fact that you bring him everywhere you go. But sometimes, again, to be blunt, sometimes you have to have those hard conversations, because sometimes the community can get messy. And so you're able to bring grace and wisdom and love into the community. And so being a part of the Angel Foundation, how has that helped you? And why do you think it's so important that the churches do come alongside nonprofits like the foundation to do the work? Because there is a term you used.
Absolutely.
Yes, many times.
Absolutely. I have very strong thoughts on this, as you and I have discussed on many occasions. The Angel Foundation is what I would call a parachurch organization. You are an organization that partners with the work of the church to extend the hands and feet of the Lord. Now, every church has a vision, has a mission, has something that they're incredibly passionate about. At Arise, we exist so that individuals can experience God, not just read about him, not just learn about him, but experience him. Well, experiential encounters with God can happen absolutely anywhere, right?
Absolutely.
They can happen in Walmart, and sometimes they should happen in Walmart if we're being honest. But many churches think, well, I want people to come to me. So I'm going to get engaged in the community because I want people to come and worship at our church. And there's not anything wrong with that inherently, but there's something really special about going where pain is. We're going where people are. We're going where the struggles are. And that's what the Angel Foundation does. The Angel Foundation, as we all know, helps and comes alongside individuals facing life-threatening illnesses and catastrophic circumstances. Well, where would Jesus be? If Jesus were walking among us today, would he be sitting in the pew, or would he be out where the pain is, out where the people are? And so our partnership with the Angel Foundation allows us, by building a team, by putting individuals in the gift shop, by serving in any capacity at all, allows us to come alongside of you and partner with you to actually fulfill our mission and yours, which is ultimately God's. And that's the power. It's the connection of all of those three coming together.
Absolutely, yes. And we've been so blessed to have not only yourself, but also many members of the church who have actually become part of the foundation.
Right.
Whether, like you said, we run the gift shop at the HCA Florida Brandon Hospital. And so that is an opportunity for people to come in looking for maybe new baby clothes, or maybe Coca-Cola, because you and I love our Diet Coke.
Yes, we do.
And they only have Pepsi in the hospital, so they'll come in there to get their caffeine. But also serve families outside of the church, because not all people have a church home. And that is one of the things that we train our angel leaders to say is, do you have a church home? Because we don't know what we're walking into. People come from all walks of life. We don't pick who the families are that request services from us, but we want to be there to give them help and hope. But when I say hope, a lot of times that is the hope of Christ. Right. And so being able to do that is just an extension of who we are, in addition to meeting their most practical needs. I remember someone said one time that if you can take care of a family's physical needs first, you can actually be able to get to their heart. Because many people oftentimes feel like, why are you doing this for me? I don't know you. You're a nonprofit. Is this a handout? Right. And we always say that we're a helping hand. Sure. We're there to walk alongside these families when they go through these crises. Which leads me to my next question. Okay. So you had your own life-threatening illness several years ago.
I did.
Tell us about that and how your angel team was able to come alongside of you in the most practical way.
Absolutely. So I was serving at one of our locations. It was a normal Wednesday. I was preparing for evening services to get ready to teach, and I began to feel something off inside of my body that escalated very quickly. And before I knew it, I was in an ambulance on my way to HCA South Shore Hospital facing a life-threatening situation. And once the crisis had passed and I came home, I knew that I was going to be at home for several weeks. And it was spring, and they said, get outside, get in the sunshine, just enjoy it. Well, as a hardworking woman, like many of us are, I didn't often go outside. Like if I went outside, it was to get in my car to go somewhere. And so like I wanted to go sit on my back patio, and I thought, wow, when I looked out the doors, this room, this needs some attention. It needs some maintenance a little bit. And so the Angel Foundation came alongside of me and sent a pressure washer. And they came and just made my back area beautiful and clean and sit worthy again. And then another Angel team leader came over and washed my windows on the outside and just helped me beautify it. One of our junior Angel leaders came with her daughter and planted flowers for me. Now, those are really practical needs, but they were life-giving to me and in a season that was difficult, in a season that could have been lacking in soft things. That little bit of practical help, it made all the difference.
Yeah, and I do think that the practical things really is the heart of what we do. My love language is acts of service, and so I think for myself, that's why I was so blessed when people came alongside of me during my crisis with my father 20 years ago when we started the Angel program. And so each person has their own love language, but sometimes those practical things really speak to the love that people can show in a very practical way.
Well, it goes, but let's give a biblical root to this, right? Jesus is sitting in front of 5,000. His disciples say, hey, send them away. They're hungry. And what does he say? He says, we'll give them something to eat. And then he does this incredible miracle, and he takes 2 fish and 5 loaves, and he feeds 5,000 men, plus all of the women and children that were there. Why did he do that? Was it just because they were hungry? Well, probably, but I also believe it's because we have a really hard time hearing about the hope of Christ. We have a hard time hearing about anything eternal or spiritual or even emotional when our physical needs are not met. And so by coming along and meeting physical needs, it may open the door to talk about even more eternal and more significant circumstances.
Right. That is the blessing. That is the blessing that we have. So I think people often assume that the work is rewarding all of the time, you know, being a pastor, being a communicator, and being a volunteer at the Angel Foundation. But there's usually a hidden cost to that as well. I know I often say what we do at the foundation is hard work, but it's heart work. And that's what continues to drive me. That's what gives me passion to wake up in the morning and do those daily duties that you have to do every single day. And so we're always very protective of our volunteers and our board members, anyone who's serving, that we're also showing them love and support as well. But what would you say would be the hidden cost that you have felt in your role in ministry as well as at the Angel Foundation of Florida?
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. And the reality is that there is a cost. Anything worthwhile has a cost. Even if you're doing something you love, there's going to be a cost. But in this kind of situation, you are carrying other people's burdens. You're stepping into their darkest hours, and you're sharing that with them. And I have yet to meet someone who is called to this kind of work, whether it's volunteer or pastor or whoever it is, that can walk in and do that and be unfazed.
Right.
You feel their pain. You suffer with them. There is an emotional weight to it. There is a time factor to it. There is the ability to say, yes, I'm going to help you move from this location to that location. Yes, I'm going to help get you the resources that you need. So there's an emotional weight. There's a time weight that comes alongside of it. And then there are moments where the individuals that we serve, they don't win their battle on this side of eternity.
Right.
And you suffer the loss, the grief of knowing that, yes, while you were a part of their story is now living beyond them through memories, through reflections, but their story has stopped evolving. And there's a weight of carrying that as well.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we're reminded when we lose a family that not everyone has a happy ending.
Right.
That's where our faith steps in and
Sure.
kind of gives us peace about that. I know that there's been multiple times that you have walked alongside families. And I remember one that you and I actually got to share, and it was a family that had a house fire. And I just thought that was so special, that something that you said to the family and I want you to share that, because again, the families that we serve are normal families just like yours and mine, who all of a sudden life gets turned upside down and you can't breathe. You don't know what to do next. You're just trying to make it through the next day, and the financial needs come up, and now you just don't know how you're going to do that.
Right.
But sometimes, and that's where the Angel Foundation steps in, and we do that so beautifully. And I know many of our guests will share that. But sometimes it's the simple things, like you said, it's those little soft, little gentle things that you can show people that will help them. And so share with us what we did to help that family. I just thought that was such a cool story.
Absolutely. And you know what? I love this story so much because let's face it, life is hard.
Yeah.
It's just hard. I don't care where you come from or where you live. There are elements of life that are hard. And anytime we can make life a little softer, I think it's beautiful. So you and I were meeting with a family who had experienced a house fire. And we were sitting in a hotel lobby in the middle of Brandon, Florida. And the mom and the daughter happened to be there. Dad was at work that day. And I want to say the daughter was probably around 10 a.m. And I noticed that she
10 years old, you mean?
Sorry, yes. Did I say a.m.? 10 years old. Yeah, apparently
It might
I
have
think
been
it's
10
10 a.m.
a.m.
It might have been 10 a.m., but she was about 10 years old. And she was, that was what it was. It was morning that time.
Yeah,
Thank
yes,
you. She was looking over my shoulder, and I kept thinking, what is she looking at? And I looked over, and it was a swimming pool, and there were other kids that were staying there that were obviously on vacation, and they were swimming. And I remember asking her, do you like to swim? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, have you been to the pool? And she said, no. And then Mom spoke up and said, we don't have a bathing suit. We lost everything. We literally left with the clothes on our back. And I remember that our angel team was able to take this sweet, precious girl, and we got to go to Target and we got to help her try on bathing suits, and we hooked her up. She walked away with multiple bathing suits. We had bathing suits for the entire family, for Mom, for Dad, beach towel, flip-flops, beach bag. And to know that the next day she was going to be able to go and have a little bit of joy in the middle of a really difficult situation, a little bit of softness, and something that was really hard for the family, that was golden. It was absolutely golden.
Yeah, that's one of the many, many stories that we have been able to experience and walk alongside with these families. And, this is our 20th year.
Yes.
And as we lead up to the Evening of Hope in October, we're going to be featuring 20 stories for 20 weeks. And so 20 is our theme for this year's gala, and I'm super excited. I think the hardest thing is, over the 20 years with the thousands of families that we've served, is picking 20 families.
Sure, absolutely.
Because those kind of stories are incredibly special. The every time when Lisa comes to me and she shares a need met or a request for a family, I just my heart is overflowing, because I just know that these families have that connection, and then they have that team leader who's looking out for them. So I guess my last question would be, what would you say to someone who is thinking about wanting to get involved in something? They just don't know what. They just feel a tugging on their heart to be a part of something in this community. And our vision for the foundation is to have this model everywhere in the country. Every community should have this model that we have. So what would be your recommendation to our listeners today of how they can get involved with the foundation?
Absolutely. Well, the first thing I would ask you is, what makes your heart beat? What is it that makes your heart come alive? If it's coming alongside of individuals and meeting practical needs, if it's helping to case manage, so to speak, what a family might need, then this might be the role for you. The truth of the matter is there are so many opportunities to plug in here at the Angel Foundation. Yes, you might be the hands-on connection to that family, but you might want to choose to work at our hospital gift shop and come alongside individuals who are popping in for a Diet Coke because that's what it takes to get them through the day, right? We've lived that many times.
We do, every day.
So that might be it. It might be coming alongside of the Angel Foundation saying, I have a business and I have a service that I might be able to provide. Maybe I am the service that can mow grass, or I can do house cleaning, or some sort of service. Maybe I have products like appliances, or I have repairs for an automobile. Well, maybe that's your source. Maybe you love events and you love all things decorating and planning events, and we have multiple of those a year. And so getting involved in using your gifts and talents in that particular way. Or maybe you're someone who actually just really, you feel really great when you get to write that check, when you get to say, I'll meet that need in that way. And so the beauty is that if you care about people and you care about hurting people, there's a place for you at the foundation. And if you don't know exactly what it is, come talk to us and we'll help you find it.
Absolutely. We will find a place for you. Well, I think as we wrap up this segment of the Angel Foundation podcast, I just want to say thank you for being here. It's, I know I prayerfully ask God, who are the people that have been, part of the foundation that really can share the message? And there's so many people. We're so blessed. We have so many volunteers.
We are.
Yes, I can't even express my appreciation for every single one of those volunteers. But is there any final words that you would say as we finish today's recording?
My last parting words are simply this. The Angel Foundation Florida is doing work in this community that God has called us to do. He has told us to take care of orphans and widows and to give a cup of cold water. So whether it's through the Angel Foundation or whether it's something else, let him use you for his glory, because you have something that absolutely can be used.
Thank you. Thank you for blessing me today.
I love
As
you.
always, I love you too. As we close today's episode, remember this: real change often begins with one person choosing to show up for another with compassion, hope, and heart. Because when ordinary people choose to do something extraordinary for someone else, lives change, communities grow stronger, and kindness creates a ripple effect far beyond what we can see. Thank you for joining us on the Angel Foundation podcast. Keep being the angel someone may be praying for. Thank you for listening to the Angel Foundation podcast. You too can be a part of our story of angels serving families in our community.
Hi, I'm Steve with Master Garage Door Company. We service Brandon and the surrounding communities. Whether you need a new garage door opener, or repair, we can get you taken care of quickly and efficiently. We are licensed, bonded, and insured, and make sure that every new door is permitted. We'd love to give you a free estimate on whatever your need is, and we just thank you for stopping by and visiting Master Garage Door.